I'm Forrest Griffin.
Brian Caraway.
And Lisa Tate.
What's up, guys? This is Joseph Benavidez, UFC flyweight.
Hi, this is Greg Jackson, and you're listening to It's MMAzing, and that is an amazing pun.
Get it? Like MMA, but amazing? Amazing.
Radio.
Welcome to It's MMAzing Radio. I am your host, Dr. Law. With me, we can't say as always. I mean, not right now. People have memories not that short. With me, DJ Mark.
What's up?
Nice to have you back, brother. Also with me, Lavender Gooms.
A very happy last day of Hanukkah to you two.
Thank you, Mike. My parents went to a Hanukkah celebration and brought me back some kugel, I think it's called, and then some latkes. They were very tasty. So,
my favorite part of this holiday is I text our friend Hillary from law school maybe two times in any given year. One of them is on her birthday, and the other is the first day of Hanukkah.
It's very nice of you.
Well done.
Yeah, good friend of ours definitely isn't going to listen to this. Even if I tell her she was mentioned, unless I specifically say you are in the first minute and a half of this podcast. Even then. All right, boys and girls. We're going to preview the last big fight card of 2021. You know, had a rough 2020, all of us. 2021 wasn't that great. 2022, baby. I'm expecting more of the same. So fucking buckle up. Anyway, before that, we're gonna talk a little Jose Aldo, a little Sergio Pettis, a little young Serge. We're gonna talk about a surprising UFC release. We're gonna talk about Tommy Fury fumbling the bag, and Tyron Woodley scooping that shit up and finding a whole nother bag that might be available to him.
Tommy Fury and his weak ass ribs.
Yeah. But let's get into it. Story of the weekend, Jose Aldo, Rob Font. 5-rounder. Jose, I believe, was 50-45 on the scorecards at the end, if I'm not mistaken. Someone please correct me if I'm wrong while I'm talking here. Jose started a little slow, but still won those first couple of rounds. Rob Font really came out of this fight, no one thinking less of him. But the narrative really, Marcus, is that we are 7-8 years past Jose Aldo losing that title in 13 seconds to Conor McGregor. And he's still here being debatably, and if you ask the current champion, he believes this, debatably the second best bantamweight in the world. I mean, this man, you know, people call him your favorite your favorite fighter's favorite fighter. And Jose Aldo's out there still doing his thing, Marcus.
Yeah, this was a big win for him. I know personally, I've counted him out for a while now. And the move to bantamweight has really revitalized his career. He's had a great kind of second act, after losing to Conor, and I think a lot of the, I think fire around him kind of dying down. But even though I think it's debatable to call him second best, there's still a lot of guys in this weight class I want to see him, lock up with to really figure that out. I mean, there's Sandhagen, there's TJ, there's a lot of guys up there in those like top 5 that he hasn't fought yet that I'd be very interested to see how those fights play out. But Rob Font was another guy that was surging up, and I did not finish the homework assignment. My book report is incomplete. I only saw the first 2 rounds, but I was really impressed on both sides. Rob was doing everything right in those first couple rounds. A lot of movement, a lot of activity, trying to put a lot of pressure on him. And although, I need to go back and see 3, 4, and 5, but he stole those rounds just by landing a better 1-2 and causing a lot of damage and stealing those rounds away from Rob. So
you mean 1 and 2, correct, Marcus? 1 and 2 were the rounds he stole with those are the only ones I saw. No, I'm just to be clear for people listening.
Yeah, I think Rob was, especially in that first round, he was dominating him. His jab was on point. He was switching stances. He was causing Aldo to be very reactive. And then the last 10 seconds, he put on a 1-2 and it rocked Rob, knocked him to the ground. Aldo was able to jump on top, not really do a lot of damage there or get great position to even threaten with a submission, but was enough to steal that round and more or less did the same thing in round 2. So it was definitely a scenario where Aldo did not have to be super active because the parts where he exploded, he was able to do so much damage and really take away a lot of the thunder that Rob was bringing. And I think, I'm interested to watch the rest of the fight. I'm interested to see the strike totals because it definitely seemed like Rob was putting out a lot more than Jose Aldo was. But, it comes down to damage. And what Jose Aldo was doing very well defensively was moving his head, even when he was getting hit with jabs and straights. They were more grazing shots, and when he landed stuff on Font took the full brunt of it, took a lot of damage and lost those rounds and lost the fight. So, yeah, Bob, I'm a little hesitant to say number 2 because I think everyone above him he hasn't fought yet. So,
well, I'm mostly saying he has a claim to it because he has not fought those people, but he is only. I mean, he's got 2 losses in this weight class. The way he got in this, he joined this weight class maybe 3 years ago, let me see, I think it was. His first fight being the Marlon Moraes fight. It was December 2019. Marlon Moraes fight where he lost a split, but it sounds like the powers that be thought he won because they gave him a title shot after that.
Mm-hmm.
He got knocked out in the 5th against Peter Yan. Wasn't going particularly well before that. I don't remember him. Maybe it took it around. I honestly don't remember that fight.
Right.
Since then, Marlon Vera, Pedro Munoz, Rob Font. 3 tough fucking guys. Put him down. So the champion, Peter Yan, said, I told Jose Aldo that he's going to beat everybody else in this weight class. Might be right, might be wrong. Peter Yan has made some stupid-ass decisions in his life, so maybe,
I mean, look, if I'm Sterling, too, it's like, yeah, I'll boost up Aldo because in the scenario where he gets past Peter Yan and he's looking for a big payday, I think Jose Aldo...
Wait, I said Peter Yan's a champion. Peter Yan's the one who's been saying this, not Aljo. Sorry. Peter's the one who's been saying that.
Well, I mean, look,
yeah.
The one we really care about is Peter Yan.
Yeah, the one that we know we want.
Man, Aljo better win this fight or people are going to let him hear the end of it. But go ahead.
But either way, right, and you know what? I do feel if Peter Yan does get his belt back, that rematch is a little less interesting as Sterling. And that's the thing is, like, I think Aldo, there's a lot of top competition here that he hasn't fought that I'm super
He called one of them out,
excited.
Marcus.
Like you said, I think he called out DJ, right? DJ Dillashaw would be an awesome fight. I think him and Corey Sandhagen would be awesome, and him and Sterling. Those are 3 awesome fights, and I think rolling it back with Peter isn't super.
Well, I mean, I think he's got to wait
because they fought, and
he's got to wait for that, and he might as well. He's not that young. Jose's not that young. I mean, he's younger than probably you think he is, given the number of fights he's had. He's 35 years old. Jesus Christ, I'm older than Jose Aldo. Jose's 35, just turned 35 in September. Marcus, I love the TJ Dillashaw idea, and TJ, if someone calls, I mean, not that Jose was disrespectful, but if TJ Dillashaw is not going to just like not say anything about somebody, pulling his punk card, you know what I mean? Just seeing like if he can do it, and
it's a great fight, and it's one of those fights where it probably, I don't know a scenario where they could be on a pay-per-view and get points, but that's a fight that I think sells. Like, I would like those guys.
I mean, you put that on a 5-round. You put that on.
I can see that as a co-main.
I could be a co-main on like a Connor fight card, maybe.
Do you think they get points too? Because I feel like that's a fight. Like, I would want them to make a nut, right? Like, they need to make a bag. I'm
telling you right now, TJ's not making a bag. Jose might have enough to get something out of it, but Jose's definitely got a good downside guarantee there, a good base salary. I like that fight quite a bit. I think that'd be awesome. Because I don't know if TJ just wants to sit around. I don't know how hurt he is either. Because he couldn't fight. Remember when Sandhagen had to step in?
Yeah, and that was a tough fight with him and Sandhagen. So
no, but I remember it was going to be for the Yan Sterling fight. Sterling had to pull out, and they wanted to go to TJ, but TJ was hurt. So then Sandhagen went in. Don't know how hurt TJ is. Jose is fighting more often than you'd expect him to. I mean, I don't know, 2 fights in a year. It still seems like. I mean, it seems like he's fighting once in the summer, once at the end of the year. Aljo, it looks like Aljo and Peter are going to go soon,
also
right?
Very noteworthy with Aldo. I mean, I don't think we've talked enough about how, when he was like 29 or 30, he looked like grim death just getting down to 145. and he's been able to make it a 135 without that many complications.
Mike, that's a great point. You can go back and listen to this podcast from back then, though. Please don't. But actually, 2 years ago, we definitely thought this was a terrible idea.
Oh yeah, for sure.
We thought this was a terrible idea. Like, I think he just gotten his shit pushed in by Volkanovski. But like, we thought it was terrible, right, Mike? This whole thing.
Yeah, I think all of us, if we didn't say it, we all thought these were the last gasps of a struggling fighter trying to stay in the UFC, and thought, well, let me just try to drop weight. And he's proven us wrong.
There was a video the UFC social media put out, I think it was, or somebody put it out, of Smolka. I think Smolka was on this card too, maybe? Or Smolka was backstage. Maybe Smolka was just there. But Smolka, Jose was taking his pictures, for the pre-fight thing. And Smolka had to go up. Smolka went up to him and said, man, I had to come say hi. You're the reason I'm a fighter. People love Jose Aldo. I was watching a highlight reel, Marcus, of Jose going to the body. Like someone playing a high guard. Anytime somebody plays a high guard against Jose Aldo, he just buries that left hook to the body. And yeah, it's interesting, man. It's and if he had lost, I know some people were talking how they want to see him and Dominic being in the same weight class and us never getting that fight is going to be unfortunate. Maybe if Jose had lost, but Jose just beat the number 4 bantamweight in the world. We got to see him fight some guy at the top, right? Like that's where we're at.
Yeah, Dominic's got his plate full. I think he has a fight this next card.
Yeah, he does, and Dominic doesn't fight that often.
Well, we can pump our brakes on that. Dominic needs to win. He needs to work his way up to Aldo now. But yeah, like those 3 guys I mentioned, those are 3 fights within the rankings that make a lot of sense, and I'm excited to see
am I imagining?
He called out TJ, so
am I imagining that they booked Jan and Sterling already? Or I don't think they did. Maybe that just happened.
Have to assume, right? I mean,
it just happened.
Interim belt. And...
Do you mean just in general, or do you mean have they rebooked?
Have they booked it to put a date on it? Now that they haven't yet, right? That just happened. Sandhagen Jan, right? That was like a month.
There's a date, but
okay.
I think March. I would assume.
I'm saying if that happens in March, I think TJ and Aldo needs to happen. That sounds like a really good time. If not him, Sandhagen. But other big news this weekend. Young Serge himself, Sergio Pettis. I turned the fight on in the 4th round. Apparently, Horiguchi's won every single second of this fight up until this point. Not that it's been a slaughter. Sergio's a very good fighter, and it's hard to just beat his ass. But spinning back fist later, Sergio Pettis is officially the champion over in Bellator. And his brother Anthony laid a $10,000 bet on him. Which, man, how upset was Anthony?
In fairness, Serge was already officially the champion.
No, but not in people. He said himself, he said, I'm not the champion until I fight Kyoji, Yeah.
And Anthony won some money off his little brother. Bet 10,000, won 27,500. So
yeah, that was a big win for him. Sergio needed a marquee win. That's a huge victory for him, Mark. That's Horiguchi. Debatably, up until this point, you make the argument was the best. Was this was 25 or 35? I'm not clear. 25.
I guess it's 25. Mike's pointing.
Mike's pointing.
Fingers. Yeah,
25. Demetrius Johnson, probably the best flyweight in the world outside the UFC. I guess he's not fighting that much, but Horiguchi, a guy that we all thought the UFC gave up on far too soon. Really, that was a huge win for Sergio. Marcus, big win for him.
I mean, I believe Horiguchi did the cross promotion thing and beat the Bellator champ. I think. He
beat Caldwell. He beat Darren Caldwell.
Yes, I don't know. When you do like the linear championships, Mike, you know what that's all about now. If he was still holding that or not, but yeah, this was a huge win for him, and I think, not to downplay it, it's probably I think the knockout being, not just everything around it being like this is a big title fight, but I think. He can't. It's not all wins here, right? Like he did not perform particularly well. He snapped the fight from the jaws of defeat, and he got a fantastic knockout that people are talking about. KO of the year, so that's giving a lot of eyes on it too. But I think at the end of the day, Sergio has to know, this was great for my career. This gives me a lot of eyes on me, a lot of validity. As the quality of fighter I am, but also at the same time, it's like there's holes in my games. This dude took me down at will every round. And from what I heard, if you saw the fourth round, and I don't know if this is true or not, but it sounded like Horiguchi let him up in the fourth because people were booing, and like he subconsciously felt like he needed to do a more exciting fight. That's what I heard, and I
didn't catch that part. So. Mike, you wanted to chime in?
I don't. I mean, I wouldn't say. I wouldn't. I hope it's not that he let it subconsciously get to him, but well, I want to let Mark finish his point. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, I mean that's all. That's just what I heard. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's just like this is a good win for Sergio, but he needs and I think he realizes like there's holes in my games. Like this dude dominated me. He took me down at will, and you know that's not to say like Horiguchi is top level. Like that's kind of what we expected, right? I think we all picked Horiguchi, you know, because he is a top level flight guy, and he's gotten better since he's been out of the UFC, you know, and you can point to lesser competition, but overall in this fight, you don't just want to just highlight the knockout. You really have to look at like there's holes, you know, and these are things he needs to work on to get to the level that he's now, you know, boosted himself up to. And I feel like he's a smart kid and very talented and still young that he can make these adjustments. But I'm sure in his camp, there's like, okay, this is a little bit of a wake up call. We kind of, you know, I mean, nothing's lucky. You know, he set up that spinning back fist with the big missed high kick. So, you know, there's some validity to his technique and what he was able to
especially
pull
in
off,
that camp. They're not just throwing that shit willy-nilly. That's what they train at that Rufus sport.
Yeah, and when seeing the highlight, it, like that kick did not look so much like he was trying to land it as much as he like wanted to get that leg over his head to set up a big spinning back fist, which is like a high-level striking technique. And he's very skilled, but I just think at the end of the day, and I think he realizes and can't realize it, like there's work to be done here. You know, we can't just rest on our laurels and just be like, oh yeah, he got knockout of the year. It's knockout of the year because he was getting dominated, you know, so there's work to be done here, but huge win for him. You don't want to take anything away from him. You know, it takes a lot of mental strength to be in a fight like that where you're down every round. You know, this guy seems to have figured you out and you pull it out. But at the same time, you have to realize like, yeah, there's certain aspects of this game. I think especially the wrestling, he was able to get that single leg, you know, shoulder tap takedown almost every round. So like that's something like we need to work on. We need to make sure this is not going to be exploited because whoever he's going to fight next is going to look at this tape and be like, yeah, these are weaknesses of this man. I could take him down and control him and do some good work there. So yeah, but at the end of the day, Pettis pulled it off. Huge win, huge knockout. You know, and it's got a lot of eyes on him in Bellator, which, you know, doesn't happen too often. So, you know, props all around.
Either he meant to do that with that high kick setup into a spinning back fist that, to my eyes, looked like it was almost an afterthought, that spinning back fist. Either he meant to do that, and Rufus Sport, bravo to you, or that shit was luck.
I think he was. I think he meant to do it. I'm not showing like he maybe. I'm not even like he meant to like I'm gonna do this next as much as like he's drilled that shit so much that he's just like the natural instinct of I'm gonna throw a high kick turning into a spinning back fist.
Here's why I think I'm more in the camp. Maybe there was a wee bit of luck involved in that. This isn't Anthony Pettis, where we're used to seeing some crazy shit being thrown. This is his little brother Sergio Pettis, who has been a lot more conventional in his career and not really throwing wild shit like that.
Man, he was back in LFA and shit. Sergio threw stuff like this. In the UFC, not so much. Anthony even, not as much these days, it seems like. But regardless, huge win for the Phenom. Might as well just, you know, I'm going to keep calling him Young Serge because I like that. People who call Horiguchi the Gooch makes me happy too. Just, I enjoy it all around. Horiguchi had to get stretchered out. That was rough to see. Someone we like so much. Big win, though. All right, we're picking, by the way, 7 fights on this upcoming card, so this next part of the show is going to be a little bit quicker. The news. Some of the news we got this week, folks. Let's just lead it off with Kevin Lee got released. That was real fucking weird.
He's on, like, what, a 2-fight?
Kevin Lee is far too good of a fighter. Something happened. He had the audacity to ask for money, possibly. I'm going to guess that. Bellator said they're not interested, which did they not want him to come win their championships? Because he's what? What's Kevin Lee going to fight at? 70 these days or 55? Who's their champion at 70?
His last fight was at 170.
Who is their champion at 170? Does anybody even know? That's why Kevin Lee should be in Bellator. Right there. That statement. Right there. Who's their lightweight champion? It's
Isn't it one of the pit bulls?
Is it AJ?
I think so,
No,
right?
it's the lesser pit bull, right?
I think.
Yeah, okay. What are we doing?
Overall, he's 18-7. Lost his last 2. One of them was to the champion. Not even 30. And he fought for the title not that long ago.
He said he's got some
4 years
combat.
ago.
He got some combat sports opportunities lined up. Sounds like some boxing with some
Triller. He's going to Triller.
He's going to Triller.
He's going to do that triad.
Dude, get paid.
Combat. We saw Frank Mill get iced in.
I get such affliction vibes from the triad thing, just because I'm like, or maybe even Elite XC, where like all these MMA fighters are like, we know this isn't going to last, baby, but woo, we found the money marks that are going to give us cash to show up for this. He's far too good to be out there. Something happened. Maybe we'll find out. Other big news, sounds like we're going to get Darren Till versus Uriah Hall on the UFC's return to London in March. That's a real good fight. That's a real... What is Uriah Hall lost recently? Did he lose to Sean Strickland?
I thought he did.
I think didn't he win?
Was this Sean Strickland? Is that why I'm wondering why we're not talking more about Uriah Hall? Mm-hmm.
Can't remember. I thought he won his last fight.
It's too many fights and we missed.
And I would
we all look it
remember
up now.
incorrectly because he lost to Sean Strickland.
Okay, at least I guessed it right there. Yeah, he was on a 4-fight win streak before that. He beat Darren Till. You're back on track. You're right back on track. Uriah Hall had a bit of a run going there too.
Sure. Yeah.
And I think people probably overvalue. I'm not that I'm going to definitely pick Uriah, but I think people are going to overvalue Darren Till in that fight. And I'm not sure how good Darren Till's really looked at 185 pounds. Just my 2 cents. It was really easy to look good when you're fucking 30 pounds heavier than everybody at 170. You know, and missing weight by 8 pounds. And finally, Tommy Fury fumbles the bag. He is not taking on Jake Paul. And instead, on a little less than 2 weeks notice, I think, December 18th, Jake Paul, Tyron Woodley II. And you got to ask yourself, man, how are we going to promote this fight? The first one wasn't even that good. This is how you do it, where you say Tyron Woodley's got a $500,000 knockout bonus written into the contract. Kid,
and he still won't pull the trigger.
I mean, he pulled the trigger once in that fight, dropped the kid. What do you say, Marcus? The guy got the tattoo. He got another big payday. Tyron Woodley's going to walk out of 2021 with a pretty decent fucking, W-2 when it's all said and done.
Yeah, regardless of, how the fight turns out, it looks like, he's going to make some good, scratch on these fights. And it didn't seem like this rematch was going to happen. It really didn't seem like Jake Paul was very motivated or interested in this rematch at all, even after the whole tattoo fiasco. So I'm sure Tyron is feeling very lucky and blessed, as his nickname implied, that, he's getting a second shot at it. And I would hope that he'd be a little bit more aggressive. I think he can have the confidence now knowing that, he went, was it 10 rounds? Did they go 10?
I thought it was 8.
I can't remember.
I don't know. Is he in shape?
It was 8.
Thanksgiving just I know Tyron never was fat. He's a very in-shape guy, but
I guess
Thanksgiving
they said
just
that
happened.
he was planning on having a boxing match with Dan Hardy, so potentially he was, So I think that's a fair question. Is he was not in fight camp. He did not have a fight booked, especially within 2 weeks time. So I think conditioning is
that's why the kid took the fight, right? Because he thinks Woodley's not in shape. That's part of the logic here with this kid, right?
Yeah,
he's very tactical in what he's doing. This Paul kid with what he's picking to do.
He is. I'm sure he's very confident that he's in shape. He's got a good look at Tyron. They went a lot of rounds there, and he won those rounds. Except the ones where he got cracked hard. He was in control of that fight. He controlled the pace. He showed a lot of maturity as a boxer in that fight. He also showed he's not like the monster that we could kind of point at and look at and be like, oh, look how he's killed everyone. No one can stand in the ring for 2 rounds with this guy without getting knocked out. We saw him have to put work in against Woodley and not get those big heavy shots in and not really rock his opponent, but be tactical and win it, off of endurance. I'm sure that's going to be the game plan again. I would imagine Woodley's game plan is very different. it probably is going to be a lot like when he fought Lupe that time, where it's like, you know what, the cardio is not going to be there. I got heavy hands. I know I hurt him before. There's a big cash bonus to potentially knock this kid out, so he might come out a little more aggressive and wild.
He has nothing to lose.
Yeah, I think like Mike says, I think that scenario of him being very reserved, like we saw in the first match, could absolutely happen again. We've seen that Woodley more times than we've seen him kind of let his hands go. But I would hope that with everything on the line and without the training, the conditioning that he has, that he maybe has to lean on going a little crazy, and which I think would ultimately, if he goes hard, it's going to end up in a more entertaining fight regardless, whether he's going to either hit Jake Paul hard and knock him down, or he's going to get winded and Jake Paul's going to be able to really, run across him in those later rounds and maybe put a lot of damage on him and potentially get him out of there. And I think a finish is really, at the end of the day, is what I want to see. I don't want to see that first fight again, because that was not entertaining to me.
Well, the kid doesn't have any gas tank either, remember? Like, he was winning those last few rounds, but it wasn't like he had maybe he got hit too, but I didn't see a lot from the kid's gas tank either, to be honest. Like, we didn't come out of that thinking that he was some world beater. As you mentioned.
I want someone
to but if someone's getting knocked out, I think it's the kid. If they want a knockout, it's probably more likely the kid.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. But it's interesting. I think, I don't know what they could have done. What other opponent they could have thrown in there.
If this is boxing, they would have just canceled the whole fucking thing. This is boxing. They don't. When you lose the main event, people get canceled.
They put a lot of promotion behind Fury. They did all the press conferences. It's really,
people didn't seem to give a shit though. People didn't seem to give a shit about the Fury kid. The co-main event is decent for people. I know you're not a sports fan of these guys, but who that guy is. But Frank Gore, I think, is the third leading rusher in NFL history. My favorite 49er ever.
Okay, I've heard.
Taking on
that's who it was.
Yeah, Frank Gore taking on Darren Williams, owner of the Fortis MMA gym, former NBA point guard, way taller than my guy Frank. But
it's a freak show fight. We got a bona fide freak show celebrity boxing fight. Okay, well, I can get on board with that.
I think that's what we're doing here.
On board, but
I was gonna say, I'm not sure these guys got my. You know what? I'll be watching. I'm just gonna say that. I'll be watching.
Of course, he'll be paying, is what he means to say.
I mean, I'm thinking I think I'm gonna have to convince Mark to go to the B-Dub-Dubs, man. We're gonna have to make a trip to the B-Dub-Dubs, get that desert heat wings, get some fries. Let me tell you, how I get Mark to come is when I say wings are on me. That's the key right there.
B-Dub-Dub wings are low tier wings, Bobby.
That's true.
I got Wingstop next door now. I gotta be bamboozled a
Does
little bit more.
Wingstop have a TV in there? Come on.
They don't got shit. They got enough room to fit some people in waiting for their wings.
No, I'm gonna go to that the Round Table Pizza across the street. They got that clubhouse now with the bar.
Okay.
All right, there we go. Mike, you want to fly over for this? Come on now. You take
that's worth it.
That sounds very enticing, but I will have to pass.
All right, guys. Not in the mood to talk about whatever the John Jones bullshit this week, so we're just gonna move on to making picks. I think it'd be fun to build our way up to the main event this week.
Okay.
So let's lead off. And right now the standings, folks. And this might be the last card we pick, folks, because someone might just be so far ahead, there's no point. But right now, Mike, why don't you read off the standings?
Yeah, sure. So with this possibly being our last set of picks for the year, this could be another year of heartbreak for your boy. Or, another championship for one of these two fuckheads. So let me read off the...
I only got one. Mark's got two already, okay? Just saying. Mark's reigning defending.
I don't know what'll be worse. If Mark gets 3, you get 2.
Oh, no, that's worse. That's worse.
Or what's worse, Steph comes out of nowhere and sends me a text like January 1st. Oh, so you still don't have a championship, huh, Mike?
No, Mike, I'll just tell you right now, I'm going to be insufferable if you lose again and I'm the winner. I'm just lining up the jokes, okay? I'm going to make you call me Bobby 2 times, okay? That's going to be it.
Bobby?
Bobby. So what are the standings, though? Sorry.
Anyway, so we have Kid P bringing up the rear.
He's not here. He's not.
Hey, I'm making these standings. I make these predictions posts. He's still there. Okay.
Mike doesn't want to be last. That's what I realized is Mike's biggest concern here. Okay. Okay, go ahead.
For whatever the reason. Kid P is bringing up the rear at 45-34. It's almost as if he stopped picking fights. Mark is in second with a record of 65-42, just one game behind myself and Bob at 66-41. And with that in mind, we are picking 7 of them things this weekend.
First of all, Mark's in third. We're tied for first. That means Mark. There's 2 people ahead of him.
So wouldn't that mean if we're tied for first, that means he's in sole possession of second?
Well, there's really no second.
There's no second.
Is one of you guys
he's third because there's whatever. Mark,
I don't think it's ever been this close though.
No, I don't. Not in the last. Normally, it's like one person at the end. Normally, it's like part of me, Mark, just wants to have Mike pick every fight first here, just to make him sweat. But I won't do that.
You gotta mix
I'll
it
rotate.
up. I mean, I'm
rotate
picking last each one, of course.
I got faith. Yeah, I'll do that.
Do you want to pick first, everyone? Do you want to pick every fight first? Do you want to?
There you go.
I'll let you do it if you want to.
Yo, this is my year, dog. All right. I am going into this year. I'm coming out of this year.
Okay.
Swagger.
Mike picks every fight first.
I don't care if I run into a brick wall.
So you're asked to say the words. I want to pick first each of these fights.
Yo,
if you want to.
You know how confident I am? I already got my picks in the goddamn thing.
So you're right. So it
doesn't matter. So if he picks first,
so that means you're picking first.
It's all in stone already.
That's right. All right. These are all plum.
Yeah, I haven't heard the words. I want to pick first.
I want to pick first.
Okay, Mike wants to pick first. All right.
You hear the name like Voldemort?
Exactly. All right, leading off. Part of me thinks we should be picking the Sakai fight, but anyway, we're gonna pick Dominic Cruz, Pedro Munoz. Dominic Cruz, I don't know. Is he the greatest bantamweight champion ever still or not? Is it probably still him? I don't know. Whatever. Dominic Cruz bounced back from Keith Peterson's drunken ass, screwing him out of a championship, to beat Casey Kenny by split decision back in March. Damn straight I didn't win. Damn Skippy, I didn't watch this fight. None of us did. It's on a prelim. Not one of us saw this fucking fight. We can all guess what a split decision Dominic Cruz win looks like. On the other end, Pedro Munoz. Pedro Munoz coming off of Jose Aldo. Coming off the Jose Aldo, comeback trial here. The rankings of these fighters going into this fight. We got Dominic Cruz ranked at number 10 in the weight class. We got Pedro Munoz. Yeah, I really lead into that one. Pedro. Coming in at number 8 in the rankings. The betting odds for this one, Marcus. Do you have them in front of you?
No, but I can pull them up. And
I do, though.
Well, you don't need to.
Oh, damn, son. All right, shit.
I'm going to go to Mark because you're going first. I don't need you to read the odds first.
It looks even across the board. Minus 110. So we really
minus 110 across the board. Pick 'em fight. Mike, what do you got for this one?
It's a pick 'em fight, and my plums picked Dominic Cruz. When your nuts are on the line and your first championship is ready to go, you got to go to someone who's had a championship pedigree in the past. All right, so you got to go.
I really hope Mike has better shit talk than this if he wins the championship. I really hope put some thought into it, Mike. All right. I got Dominic also. I'm a big Dominic Cruz guy. I'm not confident, honestly, because he didn't look great before Henry Cejudo knocked him out. He fights so infrequently, but he doesn't really lose to anybody bad. Not to say that Pedro Munoz is bad, but it really the guys Dominic loses to, are pretty much Uriah Faber, Cody Garbrandt when he was still the man, and Triple C out there. So Dominic is gonna squeeze what's left out of that out of that juice box. Mark, what do you got?
Yeah, it's tough. We're gonna have to make some. I have to make some splits here to gain some ground and potentially steal.
Is this where you do it?
No, it's tough to pick against Dominic. I think stylistically, Pedro's kind of a heavy hitter, and Dominic has always been kind of the matador. He's always been a guy that's been able to use his footwork to negate the power punches. Except in the Cody Garbrandt fight where Cody just looked like he was on a completely different level that we'd never seen him fight up before. I don't think Pedro's there. I think Dominic's going to be able to get a decision. I just don't feel confident enough to make the separation there. So I got to go with Dominic.
Do you think Cody's coaches play the video of that fight for him sometime and say, "Hey, what happened to that guy? You were in the Matrix. You were just like, he was dodging shit like he was Dominic.
I mean, I think the problem is they do that, Bobby, and like I think part of Cody's problem, which we're going to get into, is that he's bought into the hype too much and hasn't been able to make those adjustments he needed to. You know, when he fought Dominic, no one thought he was going to win.
He didn't knock him out either. He just, you know,
he didn't. He just scored.
Did what he had to do.
He landed. He touched him. We're going to talk about Cody later, but yeah, I think Dom's going to get it done here. You know, his last fight being a split decision does make me a little lenient on maybe Pedro can get it done, but I'm just not confident there, so I'm going to go with Dom.
Next up, Josh Emmett of Team Alpha Males. Still? Oh, okay. Josh Emmett coming off of beating Shane Burgos on a 3-fight win streak, stretching back to 2019 because he has not fought in a year and a half. He was last supposed to fight somebody, and he tore his ACL. Okay, he tore his ACL while winning that fight, apparently. Fucking impressive. Dan Ige, am I saying his name right at this point? Is it Ige?
Man, we've talked about this, like, I think the last 5 times he's fought, and each time, I don't know.
Yep. Coming off of a loss to the Zombie, Korean Zombie himself, banger of a fight, 5-rounder back in June of this year. Betting odds for this one, Marcus, what are they?
Yeah, Emmett's the favorite at minus 160, and Dan is the underdog at 140.
I got Josh Emmett. I know Mike wants to pick first, but I got Josh Emmett. Mike, who you got?
Well, I actually have Dan Ige on this.
Yeah.
Ige?
Do you know what my logic is here, buddy? Because I feel I picked against Josh Emmett every time. And he, like, wins these fights, man, and he just pulls them out of nowhere. And it's maybe because he's, like, I've convinced myself he's old, and I guess he's, you know, as old as us. But, like, motherfucker, like, he's got a good record. What is he? He's 16-2 overall. That's it. He's got 2 losses. He's ranked. Is he still ranked pretty high, if I'm not mistaken? It's number 7. It's number 7 Emmett versus number 9 Ige.
Who is he lost to?
He lost to. I just had it in front of me. Jeremy Stevens knocked him out, and he lost a split to a gentleman named Desmond Green 4 years ago. So, I think that Jeremy Stevens won, because that Jeremy Stevens loss came out right after he knocked out Ricardo Lamas and shocked the world. Yeah. That loss to Jeremy kind of made people think, oh, maybe he has a flash in the pan. And then he knocked out Michael Johnson. I think he was losing that fight after that. Josh's fights are entertaining, so I think this is gonna be a banger. It's good to put on free TV. You got Dan Ige, though?
Yeah, I've got Ige in this one.
Marcus?
Yeah, I got Josh, too. He has fought some guys that are pretty good at boxing, like I think Dan kind of relies on in his last fight with Shane Burgos. And I like the wrestling aspect. You know, if things aren't going his way, potentially he could change the landscape of the fight, you know, by shooting a double and taking the fight to the ground. So I like those variables. And I'm very glad Mike picked Dan, so that makes it easy for me. Thank you, Mike.
But I'm sorry, Mark. You're picking Emmett as well, you said?
I am. All right.
Yeah, Josh, a big wrestler, back at the NAIA level. Team Alpha Male recruiting. I think everybody's ever been a Team Alpha Male knows how to wrestle, except for what's his name? The guy with the good nickname, Touchy Feely. All these other guys seem to have a bit of a wrestling base. Even Cody's not bad on the ground. All right, on to the main card. This is where we're all picking the same thing. Sean O'Malley said he's not taking. If you want Sean O'Malley to fight top 5 fighters, you got to pay Sean O'Malley like he's fighting top 5 fighters. So Sean O'Malley at this point is just fighting dudes. But Sean O'Malley sells tickets like a motherfucker. And he's taking on Raulian Paiva. Raulian's on a 3-fight win streak in the UFC. This man has 5 UFC fights, and none of us can pick him out of a fucking lineup. Sean O'Malley, on the other hand, is coming off of that fight against Chris Moutinho, where Moutinho took more damage than any human being should take in a fight. So much so that Moutinho was on national talk shows because of how tough he fucking looked. O'Malley, I believe, has got a ranking still. Or does he? He's 135, right? Right, guys?
Yeah.
He's not ranked. Not ranked still. Okay. Betting odds for this one, Marcus?
Yeah, Sean's a heavy favorite at minus 305 to his opponent's plus 240.
Honestly, closer than I thought. Part of me wonders if the UFC is going to give him some sort of a ringer or something, Marcus, to fuck with his stance of I want to get paid, just to fuck with him. But I'm taking, Sugar Sean here. Mike?
Yeah, I actually did some research for some of these fighters before picking today over the weekend, and I watched two of Paiva's previous fights, and he got some pretty good all-around skills, but I mean, he's still not as fast
How
or
big
as
is he?
talented as O'Malley.
Is he big or not?
I mean, he's not as tall as fucking O'Malley is. So.
Yeah. If I'm the kid, I kick the kid. If I'm fighting Sean O'Malley, I go for the ankles. I'm going low. I'm going low leg kicks. That's all I'm throwing against him. Hands up, low leg kicks.
I still don't think that's going to be enough. I think O'Malley KOs this guy.
Marcus?
Yeah, I have Sean O'Malley as well. Impressive record on the other side. 21-3 is fairly impressive. But yeah, Sean O'Malley is shown to be somewhat of a special talent. So unless the wheels fall off here, I think he should get the win.
This card is awesome, guys. Seriously, we got a sacrificial lamb fight in the co-main event, if you ask me. Though, Juliana Pena would disagree. But this right here, we're finally getting Cody Garbrandt's debut at 125 pound, Marcus. There was a point where he was talking about going down and fighting. He was gonna fight Figueiredo, right? Wasn't it? He was gonna fight Figueiredo, and then Moreno stepped in. That's how Moreno fought him the first time, I think. Am I imagining that?
Maybe I'm not.
I thought there was something. Cody Garbrandt, the former 135 pound champion of the UFC, he was gonna fight Figueiredo. Then he got COVID. And it fucked him up. Impressively. Was gone for a while. Came back, fought Rob Font, lost the decision, a 5-rounder. Was a big fight for Rob Font. On the other end of it, we got Kai Kara France, who trains with Izzy and Alex Volkanovski and Dan Hooker over at the City Kickboxing Gym, which is relocating to the United States. May I suggest Walnut Creek, California? Kai Kara France coming off a win over Rogerio Bontorin, bouncing back from a loss to Brandon Royval. Bit of an up and down UFC career. And betting odds for this one, Marcus.
Yeah, Cody's the favorite at minus 155, and Kai is the underdog at plus 135.
And 125 pounds. Cody's still ranked number 7 at bantamweight, and Kai is ranked number 6 at flyweight. Marcus, since you wanted to talk about the man anyway, why don't you go ahead and kick this off with Cody and Kai?
Didn't really want. I wasn't pushing for it. We were just mentioning him before. Yeah, I'm probably going to be the outlier here. I'm going to pick Kai. Like I said, I need to take some gambles here. I need to make up some ground. What I like seeing here is that even though it has been a little rocky in his last 4, and his last loss, I don't even know who the guy is, but Brandon Moreno, who's now the champion, I can let that slide. I have a little bit more confidence now that you mentioned he's with that team. Was it City Kickboxing?
He beat Moreno? Moreno beat him?
He lost to Moreno.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So that's why I'm saying I'm giving him a little bit of a pass.
He survived 3 rounds with him, too.
Yeah, we've seen, how that went. Coming off performance of the night and a KO in his last fight. And I can draw some confidence, maybe the weight cut's going to be tough. Going from 35 to 25 is significant. We're talking about more body mass. And, while I don't think Cody was super cut at 35, it's 10 pounds is a lot.
Do you know where this came from, Marcus? Is because people started talking about this when him and Demetrius Johnson were on the same fight card, and they both said they came into fight week at 141 pounds, 142 pounds, or something like that. Okay. So I think people got the idea that he could do it, and he did it. He didn't do it. He was trying to do it before he got COVID. Mike, who's your pick for this one?
Yeah, I'm gonna pick Cody on this one. I think this hinges on how his weight cut goes. If he's super depleted, he's gonna be fucked. But if he can handle the weight cut well. I think that he has good enough wrestling to stop France's takedowns, and obviously he still has his power. I remember a comment that Cody made maybe a year or 2 years ago, where he says he walks around 135 pounds. So that means he should conceivably be able to make 125 without it being a super draining affair. So I think this is one of those times where I don't think that the new weight class, losing the 10 extra pounds, it's gonna affect him very adversely.
I've been going back and forth on this all day, all week, honestly, thinking about this fight, because he's lost 4 or 5, Cody. He's lost 4 or 5, but those 4 or 5 is stretched all the way back to 2017. And then in the middle of this thing, we're not even talking that much about fucking long haul COVID symptoms. Not that I'm trying to look for help. Do you guys remember the fight with Rob? I think we just came out of it thinking he didn't look gassed. He just wasn't as good. That's what I came out of that one thinking. I've been waiting for Kai Kara France to pop for a while, and it hasn't happened. And despite Cody being not looking good, and I'm not going to be surprised, Mike, as you said, if he goes on that scale and looks like fucking dog shit, you and me are fucked, because I'm taking Cody Garbrandt. I was a big Cody guy early on. I remember being the only person in this podcast who picked him over Thomas Almeida, and that was a real contentious thing. People, I think he was like a slight underdog. That was a big deal. Those are 2 young guns, and he clowned Almeida, and then he did what nobody else could to Dominic Cruz at the time. And I'm not confident that he did this 125 thing. Like we talked about when Jose went down, this looked like a dying, like a last grasp type thing. Cody's real young, but if this doesn't, let's say if he loses this fight and he looks bad, I don't know how long he's going to be here. I'm slowly talking myself out of this, but I'm still taking Cody Garbrandt to win. That's who I got. Jeff Neal, Santiago Ponzinibbio. Possibly the best fight on paper outside of the main event, I think. Jeff Neal and Santiago Ponzinibbio, 2 of the younger studs here at 170 pounds. Jeff Neal, though, has got to right the ship, guys. 2 straight losses. Neil Magny and Stephen Thompson is, fucking nothing to sneeze at there. But, before that, he had rung off 7 straight. Ponzinibbio was gone for two years, only to come back and have Li Jingliang ruin his return back in a 4-minute knockout in Abu Dhabi. Bounce back with the win over Miguel Baeza, which, if you didn't see that fight, people need to go back and watch it, was one of the best fights of the year. Right now in the rankings, Ponzinibbio is ranked at 14. Jeff Neal ranked at 12. Betting odds for this one, Marcus?
It's split at -110 for each, so it's a pick 'em.
I got Ponzinibbio. I'm more so trying to convince myself that was not that Li Jingliang isn't a good fighter. He's fucking tough as nails. But Santiago was on a run. Do you guys remember? They went to Argentina just for him. That was a whole thing. They flew to a whole ass new country just for this guy. Apologies. To have an opportunity. That's because he'd strung off 7 straight wins there before that loss. I think he tore his ACL. This leg, it's a ligament injury when you're gone 2 years. I'm gonna think he's back on track here. Hopefully, because I'm a big fan. And Jeff's a good fighter, but I think the betting line is very accurate, Marcus. What is your pick for this one?
No, go to Mike.
You want Mike? Mike, Mike, you asked for it, buddy. I laid out there, put the nuts out there too.
I did. That was just so fun.
Mark is ready to pick whatever. Mark is begging you to pick Santiago here, Mike. Come on, join Team Santiago.
This is an extremely close fight. I think Jeff Neal has the ability to knock him out with just one punch. But
scares me. Yes.
I'm gonna go with Santiago on this one. I think that his durability and cardio are going to carry the day. I think he should be able to avoid the big shot early on, and if he's able to do that, then he should be able to get to a decision.
Mark, you're taking Jeff Neal?
Yeah, I am. And that's kind of what I was leaning at before. I mean, I think it's a little bit of a risk. I think normally I would probably be with you guys and go with Santiago because he has impressed me in the past. This show is Jeff Neal. You know, he's shown that he's very capable. He's won some tough fights. He's coming off a 2-fight losing streak. You know, my headspace picking him is, like you said, Bobby, he knows he needs a correct ship. He knows he needs a good performance here. He's going to fight another guy who's going to stand in front of him, which I think he tends to do fairly well when he's fighting a real like kickboxer fighter, not someone that's difficult like Thompson or who has, you know, skill sets everywhere like Neil Magny. So yeah, you know, like I said before, you know, you have to pick some kind of outliers there and hope you get lucky on a few times here. So Kaya and Jeff Neal are kind of my.
I mean, I don't think this is an outlier. The man's a fucking. I mean, Kai is barely an underdog, and this guy's a pick-up fight, right? I mean, these fights are close.
It is, but like you guys, like I would probably, you know, in a different circumstance, I would probably pick Santiago. I'd be more comfortable with Santiago. He has more fights. He's had more wins. The losses are the same. So there's a lot of, you know, MMA math.
Do you know what I don't like?
Be more comfortable with.
I've noticed over the years that when me and Mike end up on the sidebars of ourselves, it does not go well. Traditionally, it does not go well.
I'm having a very sinking feeling that Mark is going to come out of this weekend like winning by risky. Like 3 fights.
These are risky ones. The ones I'm picking, I probably in different circumstances, I'd go with Cody and I'd go with Santiago.
Honestly, but, Cody's the one Cody, I'm like thinking like, is it too late for me to change? We're still on the pot. Like Cody's the one that I'm like, I don't know, man. There's a whole new weight class, Mike.
His one victory in his last 5 fights was that like flash knockout.
Yeah, I know it was not going well.
It was very close to him getting knocked out.
You know what it is though, man? I picked Kai Kara to win some fights and he just doesn't. Right now, Mike, just before we go on, how many on this card are you and me disagreeing on?
You and me?
Yeah.
One. Emmett? Josh Emmett versus Dan Ige.
That's it?
Yep.
Okay.
So that might be the deciding factor.
That's what I'm realizing here, buddy.
Intriguing, though, but
I'm saying next week might actually come into play if it comes out of this stuff. We'll see. Mark is all over the place here. All right. Co-main event. This one's not going to be the one where we differ.
Nope.
Then again, man, the year Stephon beat you. It was because of Amanda Nunes knocking out Cyborg.
God damn
reigning, defending. This is 135, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Reigning, defending UFC bantamweight champion of the world, the GOAT, the Lioness, Amanda Nunes.
She just ran through Cyborg.
Mike's having flashbacks basically here. Taking on possibly the most unlikable fighter in the women's 135-pound weight class, Juliana Pena. I swear to God, man, she's like, she could have this whole rallying thing. My dog's making noise, guys, sorry. This whole rallying thing where like, hey, man, I could do it. Everybody's got a chance. Everybody wants her to get her ass whooped.
You know what's the funny thing? Normally, fighters that we think are very unlikable, it's pretty much been for like either political, they have whooped up on their wives, they've hit pregnant women with their cars, or they have abhorrent political takes. It feels like Juliana Pena, she hasn't been hitting a whole bunch of home runs, but she's been hitting a whole lot of doubles to get us to like, fuck this girl.
She just seems like an asshole. It's just not that complicated. Some people seem like assholes.
It's just generally everything she says is just like, it's not.
She's like, nice. Amanda's scared of me. I'm like, you're on a whole ass 1-fight win streak. She's on a 1-fight win streak. I'm not making that up. 1 fight. All right, 1 fight. Okay.
We really need to go into analysis on this fight. Can we just say Amanda's better than her everywhere?
I mean, if Juliana wins, I don't care how it happens. She got lucky. I don't give a fuck how it happens. I've seen her fight 10 fucking times. She's not good enough to just skill wise. I'm going to say pure luck. This is going to be, Mark, what's the betting line?
It's like minus 600 or something.
Yeah, it was, let me pull it up here. I just had it.
It was 8 at one point this weekend.
No, I think it was minus. It's Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, either -8 or -900 to +600 +550.
Jesus.
Look, if I'm a member of Juliana Pena's family and I think the world of my friend or cousin or whatever, this is the weekend to get rich. But if you think it's gonna happen, this is like a low risk fucking CD you can put money in this week, Mike. Like a 12% interest rate. Amanda Nunes. Isn't that what -800 is? Roughly like a 12% interest rate, I think.
Wait, you mean if I put $100 on Amanda Nunes, I'll get $12 back?
You got $12.50 back, I think.
Ooh, that's not
I
bad.
I did the math right. It's a 12.5% CD. It's one night CD.
That's not bad. Put like $1 million on Amanda Nunes. Get a nice little profit back.
Nobody who has $1 million thinks like this, Mike. Just saying. Yeah, no one thinks that Juliana has a chance here, right? Do people think it's going to decision even? Does anybody think this is going to decision? Because Amanda goes to decision sometimes.
I could see that.
I'm gonna say this. Like I guess I don't watch enough or listen to Julia's interviews enough to know the stuff she says to be upset about her, because I've always kind of liked her. I always thought she's been
not upset. She just seems like a prick.
I think she's a very tough fighter. She does not get stopped off. And I was actually looking at the record. I was like, this doesn't even make sense. Her one TKO stoppage. You know who stopped her? Sarah Morose. How did that happen?
Really?
Cheesecake doctor? Cheesecake put her down?
Cheesecake got a TKO doctor stoppage. She did correct that in the Ultimate Fighter in the semifinals. She beat Sarah. And then I think she went on to win that season of the Ultimate Fighter. And honestly, I guess her personality is grating. She maybe talking shit to Amanda Nunes where you just won one fight. But I think she
got COVID and she talked shit to her for being scared because she got COVID.
Yeah, not listening to that stuff makes it easier to just like her as a fighter. So what I will say is that, I think she's tough. She's durable. I think her only way to win this fight is to ground Amanda Nunes, and that's going to be tough to do. No one else has really been able to do that. So I'm definitely not picking her. And I don't think she's going to pull off a huge upset, but I think it could be a fun fight. I think this is actually a fight that I was interested in. I think stylistically they match up pretty well to have an interesting collision here. And I'm excited for the fight, and I get it's not super deserved. She shouldn't be talking the amount of shit because Amanda is the GOAT. She has proven that by defending and having 2 belts in the same. I mean, I've sing the praises of Amanda Nunes. I think she's going to get it done here, but I don't hate this fight. For all the fights Amanda's had, especially at 145, where the opposition I felt has been very lackluster. When you talk about Felicia Spencer. And even Megan Anderson, I'm more excited for this fight than I was for those. So I'm looking for a fun scrap. I think this maybe I'm back and forth might be a little bit much, but I think Pena's going to be.
She hasn't defended this belt in 2 years.
Yeah, and I think
as we're mentioning, she hasn't defended this belt in 2 years. She waited 2 years, and this is the best contender they could come up with.
Yeah, I mean, 35 has been kind of weird, but I think that's her best weight class. I think she, that is her natural weight class. I think she's going to perform well here, and I'm personally excited for the fight. I don't think Penny's going to win, but I'm not super down on her, and it's probably because I don't listen to this.
Yeah, no, I mean, look,
it makes it easier.
I'm not even saying that so there's another contender that's more deserving. There isn't one. There is not a more deserving contender. She waited 2 years to defend this belt for this division to give us one, and this is what they gave us. So
yeah. I also think Juliana waited a whole year for this title shot as well, and no other 135 women came up either.
Yeah, this was supposed to happen 3 months ago, and Juliana hasn't fought since the beginning of the year. So I don't know. Maybe this is the time. Hey, Mike, do you think that Amanda's going to be on Ellen? Do you think
No.
this is the week? I'm going to get that? No.
This is Ellen's final season. They're not burning an episode on Amanda Nunes.
I just want to say this right now, folks. A preview for next week. If Amanda wins, I will be bringing up, hey, if you're talking about Max Holloway, Alex Volkanovski 3, that means you got to give me Amanda Nunes versus Valentina Shevchenko 3. Just spoiler alert, that's what's coming next week if Amanda wins. Just putting that out there.
If. Might as well just pencil that shit into the fucking A block.
All right, Amanda, clean sweep here. We're all picking her. And here it is, folks. Charles Oliveira, Do Bronx. A man on a 9-fight winning streak. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9-fight winning streak. Taking on Dustin the Diamond Poirier, man on a 3-fight winning streak, won 7 of 8 overall. In the middle, Khabib him. Is what happened. Coming off of the 2 biggest paychecks of his fucking career. Does Dustin even need to do this anymore? Does he? Huh? Does he need to do this? It might be better for Dustin's career to lose this. Then he'll fight Conor McGregor again. That's what'll happen. Right now, the rankings. Well, by the way, Juliana was ranked fucking 3. Anyway, right now the rankings. Obviously, we got the champion, Mr. Oliveira himself, Dobronx, and the number 1 contender. It's almost like this makes sense. The number 1 contender, Dustin Poirier, with Justin Gaethje waiting in the ring, waiting in the wings, number 2 contender. All of a sudden, this weight class makes sense, guys. Just putting that out there. All of a sudden, betting odds for this one, Marcus.
Sorry, I just have to unlock my phone. Tap, 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 tap. Yeah, Charles is the underdog here at plus 140, and Dustin is the favorite at minus 160. So pretty close.
Mike.
Yeah, I'm going to be going with Oliveira on this one. Jesus.
Come on, man.
What, man?
We're really going to have this come down to Ige and Hooker if it's me and you? Okay. Or
Hey,
Ige and
Yo, man,
Josh
do what it
Emmett?
do, baby. I think this one could go either way, though. But in my opinion, looking at the competition they fought in, Oliveira has crushed everyone that's been put in front of him over the last 9 fights. Poirier, look, man, getting Conor McGregor 3-4 years ago would have been a huge, feather in your cap. I'm not as impressed by that anymore. And also, more importantly, with Oliveira, earlier in his career, he showed a penchant for not as, being a little mentally fragile. Whereas in his fight against Chandler, he got rocked pretty badly in that first round, and he was able to come back from that and win the fight. Additionally, while Poirier isn't bad, he isn't a bad wrestler by any stretch of the imagination. I think that what Oliveira can do.
I don't want to be Oliveira's guard.
Yeah, exactly.
Mike, you're giving Mike the
dangerous.
reasoning here. Yeah.
He's dangerous on his back. He's dangerous in mount. I don't think that Poirier stands a chance of getting Khabib in this fight, but maybe you could see something similar if it gets to the ground, because Oliveira is just on that much of a different level when it comes to his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So I think this fight will end in a submission.
So you got Oliveira. Not only that, you're claiming submission for him. Before we go on, Mark, I think you're being a little dismissive of the wins over Conor just because when they fought the first time, remember we all thought, why isn't this just for the belt? Because Khabib had just retired. We're like, these guys are both at the top. We should do it. I mean, all that Conor's done is lost to this guy, in fairness, recently. I think that was a big win for him. I think beating Conor McGregor was a really big deal still.
I remember that discussion being a bit differently in that Poirier was at the top. We thought, why not just make this for the belt? Because fuck it, Conor's in the fight. I think it was more that.
I mean, okay. I mean, I'm not gonna. I mean, it doesn't matter. He's not in this fight. Someone should take Conor's phone away from him during this card, please. By the way, Marcus, what do you think? Are you gonna? Is this? I mean, are you going with Chucky Olives, as Brandon Folks calls him, or are you taking Mr. Poirier here, who I have to buy his hot sauce? What do you got here?
Yeah, no, I'm actually picking Dustin, and I think this is going to be a really competitive fight and a really close fight, and I'm not super concerned about either way here. I think Dustin has shown an ability to really control the stand-up at a much higher level than even Charles has. I think Charles has really shown that he really gets the fundamentals. He's really sharp. He's quick on his feet. Absolutely deadly on the ground. I think that is where he's going to have his best success. But I think for Dustin, the game plan is going to be pretty easy. He's going to want to stand with them. I think he's going to feel he's going to be the stronger fighter. He's going to have sharpened a little more tools there. Especially, I think fighting Conor back to back, and we can, say what we want about, where Conor's at. But I think the first fight, we didn't really know, how Conor was going to fight back at 155, which is his strongest weight class, I feel. And the second fight, we've seen Conor in rematches improve greatly. You look at the Nate Diaz fight; he really made a lot of corrections there. He wasn't able to. So I'm picking Dustin, and I feel fairly confident. I think this is going to be a fantastic fight. I think this is marvelous. 155 is probably, I would say, not just like the most talent-rich division, but just like the most entertaining division. Like the guys at the top are just all killers. And you look at what both guys have done, and not just like the wins they've racked up, but every fight is performance of the night or fight of the night. Oliveira has, the most submissions, I think, in the UFC right now. Maybe it's one of the things it says on Wikipedia. I'm not super concerned there. Dustin has gotten caught, but it's been very few and far between. He got finished by Khabib and he got finished by Korean Zombie way back in the day. But yeah, I'm picking Dustin. I feel like he has to have a lot of confidence going in this fight. He has fought Conor McGregor on a huge stage with huge pay, with huge ramifications for losing those fights, and he came out on top. I think confidence is very high, and I think Charles is right there too. He just snatched the belt away from Michael Chandler, who had him hurt early on. But yeah, I'm picking Dustin, and I feel fairly confident, and I'm not super concerned about this one. And again, you guys picking Charles just means, this gives me a little breathing room.
Well, I got to think, Marcus. Am I picking Charles? Because Mike just made it very complicated. Are you that confident, man? Because I think this is a pick'em. I know the odds are pretty much saying.
No, I think it is, but like, there's the other fights I picked against like Kay.
You're less confident.
Jeff Neal. I'm not confident. I don't feel those are not the picks I would normally make. Those are picks I'm making out of desperation to make up some ground. I feel, regardless, I might have picked Dustin in this fight because I feel, and I agree with you, it is a very tough fight, but I feel like some of the places where Charles is really strong, Dustin's not going to, I don't think this is going to be on the ground too much. I think this is going to be a stand-up fight, and I think Dustin's going to assert himself fairly well there. I just have a hard time seeing Charles getting the fight to the ground unless he does catch him with something. So I'm really basing a lot of my pick on Dustin really correcting a lot of issues in the stand-up. And I have that confidence because he fought guys like Eddie Alvarez, Justin Gaethje, Max Holloway, Conor McGregor. These guys are killers on the stand-up. Like, if you can hang with these guys and beat them in the stand-up, I have a hard time thinking Charles is going to be able to get the best of him. And I have a hard time seeing Charles, like, shooting singles or doubles or working in the clinch. And, outside of maybe some tie knees in the clinch, like, I don't think he's going to be particularly strong in those areas. So I think Dustin has some advantages here that I'm fairly confident in. But more so than anything else, I'm just really excited for this fight. This is going to be a really good fight in a division full of killers that has done nothing but produce awesome fights throughout this year. Even looking at both these guys' last couple of fights, Dustin's fights with Conor were super entertaining. Charles' fights with Michael Chandler, entertaining. Gaethje and Chandler. Like, this is just a division that when we get to these top guys, it's not only that there's rankings involved and standings and there's high stakes in that regard, but just they fucking deliver. So more so than right or wrong in this fight, I'm just excited to see a good fight.
Part of me, I'll be honest, I went into this, I've been thinking about this fight since they got announced because I'm so excited for this, Mark. Like, and Mike, sorry. Mike,
just very, very quickly. Did you need to pick up your dog for the mental fortitude of the pick you're about to make? Like,
no, my dog kept trying to climb on top of me, and I'm just trying to get to the point where she gets bored and runs away. I've been stoked for this fight for a while. I like that. I mean, the UFC's not really promoting fighters anymore, just fights. The recent revenue showing they're making all their money off of ESPN Plus anyway. They don't give a fuck about pay-per-views. It doesn't matter who's signed or who's not signed. That's how Kevin Lee gets cut. So they're such nice guys. You think highly of both of them. They're running different charities. Charles Oliveira's got like a reading program. Dustin's got his the Good Fight Foundation. Dustin's I'm picking Charles Oliveira, but I'm sitting here wondering, for my own entertainment that evening, if like Josh Emmett loses to Dan Ige, all right, early on, and everything's going fucking swimmingly the rest of the night, how much am I really going to enjoy knowing Mike has won at that point?
Wait. You say that as if like Mark hasn't picked.
No. I mean, if everything has gone swimmingly up until that, if I've got everything right up until that point, besides that fight, you know what I'm saying? At that point, I would.
If Mike's only up one, we're gonna make some picks next week.
It's true. It's not done.
Whoa! What type of bullshit is this?
What do you mean?
If you're up by 3 next week, if you lose,
we need to decide right now if we're picking next week.
We're picking next week.
We ain't about to have some
I vote we pick next week.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, Mike's up.
Okay,
no,
okay.
Fuck it.
Let's
pick
vote.
some fights next week.
Let's vote.
No,
Are we
no,
picking
yeah.
next week? I vote yes.
I vote yes.
I say
Oh, there we
pick
go,
next
no
week,
problem.
Okay.
Unless the scenario is Mike or Bobby has won
Unless someone
by
has-
so much that it makes it irrelevant.
Yeah, unless you got like
And then we can still do it because maybe I can beat Mike and then he becomes,
Yeah, that would be honestly if it's like we gotta
because he's gonna count steps.
no, we gotta pick either way because even if it's like that and me and Mike are separated by one, you'd have to be so far up, Mark, that it wouldn't matter. That'd be the only way we don't pick next week.
Fantastic.
Yeah, exactly. We need a belt or something. Jesus.
We come back next week and I have just stolen this from both.
You know,
of
I might have to.
Ooh.
I might have to go into the It's
Wow.
Amazing, It's Amazing coffers and get $20 and buy a cheap ass belt for us to have for the winner of this thing.
You
Just
guys
saying.
don't want to see a grown man cry, man. Like, I need a win.
I got Charles Oliveira, man. He's on a 9-fight win streak. Mark said this is the most entertaining weight class. I mean, you guys have heard me say it doesn't matter. Give me any top 10 lightweight. Pick two of them, put them in the cage. I still feel that way. This sport is at its best 170 pounds and below. And it's just no shame to the guys at middleweight. There's a lot of great middleweights. There's a lot of great light heavyweights. There are a few great heavyweights. But, like, if I was 6'5", 220 pounds and a good athlete, I wouldn't do this shit. Like, do you know how much they pay you to play baseball? You know how much they pay you to play football or fucking anything else, even hockey? Come on, man. Get on some skates and be a fucking, what's it called? An enforcer in hockey. Pays better than this. Be a goon. Good movie. You should see Goon. I'm not that confident. Everything Mark says is right. I think Dustin's more polished standing. That being said, Mark pointed out that, this guy beat Eddie Alvarez and stuff like that. You know what? Michael Chandler beat Eddie Alvarez too, and he got his ass, got his consciousness separated by Charles Oliveira too. So Charles is finding a way. Simple as that. Charles Oliveira champions find a way. And Charles Oliveira is finding a way to win. So is Dustin. I think so highly of both these fighters, and I really love where this weight class is at. And I'm going to go Oliveira. Do you guys both think we're going home early, is what I'm hearing, it sounds like? Do you think we're getting out of this before 5 rounds? Before our decision?
They're both finishers, so I think that's highly probable. But, if it goes 5, I think it'll be an entertaining 5 for sure.
Yeah, because Dustin Dustin's record right now, Dustin's record overall is 28-6, and he's got a 75% finish rate. Oliveira is so young to have this many fights. 32-year-old Oliveira has got 31 wins, and he's got 28 finishes in his 31 wins. So, granted, one of those decision victories are over Tony Ferguson, which is fairly recent. And then Jeremy Stevens 7 fucking years ago. And then he got some decision win when he was like 12 in Brazil in 2009. I love this card, guys. I'm very excited. I say this with every pay-per-view, and then I complain about everything in between because there's such a drop-off in quality. But yeah, those are our picks for this one, man. It's gonna be a banger. This one's worth yours. It's $70 now. $70.
That is like boxing. That is like boxing pay-per-view prices.
Yeah, but it's got better fights than the boxing pay-per-views.
That's true.
Why was Gervonta Davis fighting on a Sunday night? I mean, what the fuck was going on last night with that? Seriously, does anybody have any idea?
I have no idea.
Anyway, let's do stuff we like as I go on Twitter and make sure nobody randomly missed weight in the last hour or got a cut in the last hour or something. Looks like it. Stuff we like. I'll go. I watched. What's the name of the fucking movie, Mike? Help me out. The Rock.
Red Notice.
Red Notice. Mike and I disagree on this because I was talking to him about it. You really liked it. I didn't think it was bad. I just thought, spoiler alert, I thought the ending, I'm not going to say spoiler, I'm just going to say, I thought the ending was unnecessary for the kind of flick it was, and I don't think it matched the rest of the movie. But 95% of this movie is what you think it is, a bunch of jokes and shit blowing up. You knew what we were getting into. I knew what we were getting into. There's going to be dumb, mindless fun. Everybody does their role fine. Nothing about it made me like, I'm going to go watch this one again. You know, it was fine. I thought the ending was stupid, basically. And I watched, I'm not sure if I finished the third episode, but I definitely watched the first 2.5 episodes of Hawkeye. Have we talked about Hawkeye yet on the show? We talked a little bit, right, Mike? A little bit last week?
I think I talked about it a little last week, but nothing too substantive.
I'm kind of waiting for Kate Bishop to be more likable on any level for me, because I don't really give it.
You haven't liked their character yet?
I just don't give a shit about her. I don't really give a shit about her.
I liked her a lot, but
okay, man, it's just me. But I like the show overall. Her whole existence has not intrigued me yet, really. I don't know a lot of backstory about her either, to be honest. I love Hawkeye's, like, everything he's done in the show so far. All the family stuff and shit. I like them making use of his time as the Ronin. That's what they're calling him, right? The Ronin.
Yeah.
When he was in the hooded thing. I thought, was he in New York during all that? I thought it was in Japan.
He went around the world killing motherfuckers.
Yeah. It's not that I hate Haley Steinfeld's character. I thought the first episode I was just annoyed with her. As we got into the third episode, I'm more into it. It's just she's not the parts where she was alone wasn't doing anything for me. Now that they're teaming up, I'm digging that more, for me at least. I'd say right now in terms of these Marvel shows, I'm enjoying it less than Loki and WandaVision at the beginning I wasn't digging too much. It was just weird as hell. But less than Loki, maybe a little bit more than Captain America and Falcon and Winter Soldier. Not that I didn't like it. All these shows are good. You know, I'm gonna keep watching it, and I didn't finish the other one, the cartoon one, at all. I'm like 2 episodes into What If. And I think that's really it. I don't think I really watched anything else. Go Warriors. I watched a bunch of basketball. Mark, what do you got this week?
Yeah, I got a bit. I'm gonna try to keep it sparse though. For video games, I did finish Ratchet and Clank last week since I missed the episode last week, and I really enjoyed it.
Mark's finishing games. God damn.
Yeah,
what's going on?
They're few and far between.
The new one. The new one that came out.
One we all have.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what the sub name.
You don't have it, Mike?
Rift Apart.
Wait. No.
Sorry, Mark. You don't have this game? Mark?
I have the old one that came out like 2015.
Oh, I thought you bought the one for the PS5. Never mind.
Nah,
apologies.
No.
Mark, continue.
That one is really good, Mike. If you can find it on sale, it's worth it. I don't finish a lot of games. That one definitely pushed me through for sure. I was interested in mostly I just enjoyed the gunplay and the gameplay overall, and the narrative I thought was pretty entertaining. And they had some fun, cute stuff towards the end, especially like when the credits rolled. They kind of had a lot of stills that were kind of interesting and told like the epilogue or whatever. So that was enjoyable. This week there's a little indie game coming out that I'm kind of interested in trying out called Heavenly Bodies. And this one is kind of an indie space adventure. You're kind of playing as an astronaut, and you actually do co-op. So I'm kind of interested to play it with Christine. And it's kind of physics based. You're kind of like doing tasks up in space while you're floating around. It seems like it could be a good time. On the entertainment front, Bob, I did watch that documentary Clerk. I picked that up.
Okay.
And I enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. Especially someone that, me and Bobby have been Kevin Smith fans for a long time, and we've seen his little Q&As. We kind of, we saw his Q&As before. That was kind of like his whole spiel. We saw him at WonderCon, and then he started touring around. And I would say, regardless of how you feel about his body of work, which has been very up and down throughout his career, he's had peaks and valleys for sure. He's an interesting figure in the cinema space. And his story is interesting, and I think some of the stuff he talks about his career is intriguing. He's had a lot of controversy throughout his career, and it was a good documentary overall. I did think it was a little long. I think it comes in over 2 hours, so I think they could have maybe cut stuff. But the cat's done a lot, and he's had a lot of pivots in his career, so I think they give him due time in a lot of these different aspects. And yeah, overall, I enjoyed the flick. Probably the thing in the last 2 weeks that I've consumed that I've been the most impressed with, and I'm just a huge fan of this guy now. There's this show that was on Adult Swim. I caught season 1 and 2 on HBO Max. It's called Joe Pera Talks With You. And if you're not familiar with Joe Pera, I wasn't. He's a stand-up comedian, and he is very dry. He's very kind of soft-spoken, and his show is it's extremely wholesome. I'll say, like, while I was watching the first 2 seasons, I kept waiting for something cringy or bad to happen, or the other shoe to drop, and it really doesn't. I mean, there's definitely some episodes, and I ended up buying season 3 because it's ongoing right now. That definitely deal with like some real life stuff that's maybe a little bit more melancholy and maybe a little more depressing than most of the show, but like. I remember, Bob, we were talking about stand-up comedians a while ago, and how, with cancel culture, I think like a lot of comedians are finding like, oh, I can't talk about this and that without, upsetting people, and, everyone's such a snowflake. And I kind of talk about like, I really respect comedians that can have a clean act and still be fucking funny. And Joe Pera fucking nails it. Like, and after watching his show, I'm consuming interviews. He was on Colbert about season 2, and even Colbert's like, this show is just like, it reminds me a little bit of Ted Lasso, in that it is just a heartwarming thing where you just like these people. You like the characters, and even though some of the characters on the show are kind of assholes or whatever, like, he is such a good-natured guy, and his comedy just comes from a place of like, even when he is being some like detrimental or even like kind of poking fun at something, like he even is like, oh, that was kind of a mean thing to say. I don't, I'm just doing that for humor or whatever. But like, it really is a show that I think people that have watched it instantly become a fan of this guy. And I would say give it a couple episodes. They are Adult Swim shows, so the episodes are very short, like coming in a little after 11 minutes. But it was one of these things, like I saw it on HBO Max, and I was just like, this looks like it could be fun. And I didn't read anything about it. I just gave it a shot with Christine. And after the first episode, we're like, okay, that was pretty good. Let's give it one more episode. And after that, we were just sold. I was completely sold. Like, he just wrote a book. I want to read his book. I asked Christine for it for Christmas. Like, I've really became a huge fan of this guy. And I think it's hard not to, if you really give him a chance. Just watch interviews with him. He's very thoughtful. He's not like the quickest guy in the world, but you can tell, like, when he responds to something, he really gives it thought, and his show kind of reflects that. I think he's better, on a scripted kind of platform than his interviews, like when Colbert's kind of asking him questions about whatever. It's not always like the sharpest guy in the world, but man, it's really good. I couldn't recommend it enough. And again, they're short seasons. I think they're like 10 episodes. At 11 minutes a pop. It does not take much time to run through them. I ended up buying season 3 YouTube, and even then, like, we watched 3 of the 6 episodes. I'm just like, oh, I want to watch the next 3, but I just don't want to run out. Like, I like having that kind of ace in my pocket where I can go back and I've rewatched some of the episodes too, because they're just really fun.
You don't want to blow it all in like one
it's like, I don't want it to be done, and there's more episodes coming. The season 3 still ongoing, but it's just that point. I don't want to get to that point where it's like, oh, there's no more new. I have to consume the old again, which I have, and it's been a blast. So Joe Pera Talks With You, couldn't recommend it enough.
Joe Pera Talks With You. I think I'll give that a listen.
So is it on HBO Max still, or is that how you watch it?
Seasons 1 and 2 are, and season 3 is ongoing on Adult Swim. So I think Comedy Central or Cartoon Network has some streaming thing that maybe season 3's on. But I liked it so much, I was like, fuck it, I'll buy season 3. I don't want to wait, because I'm a huge fan. So yeah.
Did you talk about 10-year-old Tom 2 weeks ago?
A while ago, yeah.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah, when it came out on HBO. And that was a good one, too. I kind of like The Life and Times of Tim a little bit more. I think 10-year-old Tom was fun and in the same vein. I enjoyed watching it, but I think I have more fond memories of The Life and Times of Tim. But that's
I liked Life and Times of Tim because you told me how much it was. I remember liking it, and I got into it, and I really liked it. And I don't want to go back and watch it because I don't, whatever memory I have of it is really good. And I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure. I don't want to sully it, but anyway. Maybe. Mike, what do you got?
So quick. Well, I wouldn't say it's a quick thing for me, but it's quick because I just started listening to the latest episodes in this series, and looking back, I know I'm going to be running through all of the other subjects for this particular podcast. It's a podcast called American Scandal, where it's about American history, but more in the aspect of, things that, were in the tabloids or like were very, very high in news cycles that had a scandalous nature.
Mike,
so,
did you know there's a show? It's a show too.
Is it?
Yeah, my dad told me about it. He's like, I'm watching this American Scandal. It's great. They're talking about these thieves doing all kinds of crazy stuff. I don't know which came first. Maybe it was a podcast first and it became a show. That probably makes more sense. But I would say if you burn through all the podcasts, I don't know what it'd be on. But
Are you sure?
See if you can stream it.
There's a
American
TV show called The
Scandal?
Ring. Are you sure?
I'm almost positive. I'm gonna look it up right now.
Okay, but Mike, continue.
But yeah, so I've gone through 2 different series of it right now. The one that got me into it originally was the Clinton Lewinsky affair, where they talk about, as you can imagine, the Monica Lewinsky and Bill Clinton affair there. So that was a very good listen.
You got you didn't get enough from Slow Burn on that one? You got to double up.
Sometimes you need another fix. And then the current one that I'm actually on might matter more to you guys, specifically Bobby, due to his hate of Los Angeles. But it's a 4-episode series on LA Steals Its Water. And it chronicles how Los Angeles stole all their water from this little farming town that was right near a lake about 200 miles up north of Los Angeles. And there's a bunch of different other topics that they've covered as well, such as Theranos and Elizabeth Holmes, the Attica prison uprising, Enron, something right up you guys' way. Balco is actually the first thing that they covered in American Scandal. So they have a lot of different things that I'm looking forward in having to listen to, when I'm playing video games or writing.
Wait, they let off with Balco?
They let off with Balco.
Who's running the show?
Lindsey Graham, not that Lindsey Graham. Just some guy.
Oh no,
Lindsey Graham.
Okay, gotcha. Marcus, go ahead.
I have a correction. I was getting the show Scandal, and the show my dad watched was called American Greed. So, Mike, I'm sorry. There's once you run through those podcasts, you fucked. You're not gonna have any more content. My bad.
I went and looked up American Scandal and it just kept giving me Scandal, the TV show, and I'm
Well,
like,
that's what I saw
there's
too,
no
and I
way,
was
there's no way
no.
that's what Mr. Paris is watching.
Yeah,
No.
but it's American Greed. It's like some A&E show or some
Perhaps,
crap like that.
perhaps
Sorry.
Mr. Paris should watch Scandal because Olivia Pope is God.
Okay, I'll tell my dad. He'll be like, Olivia, who? What? I don't know. Sorry, Mike.
No, you're good. American Scandal. Give it a listen, guys.
All right. I think that's it for us this week, folks. We're going to be back next week where we're going to see if we got ourselves any new champions. One of them seems very unlikely. One of them looks like it's the slight favorite, as Dustin's the favorite in that fight. Don't know if we're getting any contenders. I was just laughing because I was reading, because people are saying, why is Sean O'Malley versus some guy on the main card and Dominic Cruz versus Pedro Munoz is not? And Sean O'Malley said, if the UFC thought Dominic Cruz and Pedro Munoz could sell more pay-per-views than me, they'd put them on the main card. And I'm like, that's a real dick thing to say, but he's not wrong. That is not wrong.
He ain't lying.
Speaking about a real dick thing, Mike, watch that laptop camera.
Yeah, Mike just gave us a zoom in of his crotch. I know it's getting late over there, Mike, but goddamn.
Our boy is not wearing pajama bottoms tonight. Let me
I
tell
ain't wearing pajama bottoms. What are you talking about?
Oh, when we saw a peek, it did not look like that, Mike. I don't know if it's two-tone or what's going on, but I thought I was getting a bird's eye view of the good stuff. So.
Yo, I'm trying to inspire you guys. All right?
Oh, okay. Inspiration. All right, folks. Thank you all for listening. I was Dr. Law. That was that was, he's not here. That was DJ Mark. That was Lavender Gooms. Thank you all so much for listening. As always, we really appreciate it. We get really excited. We like to do this every week because we're all friends and it's fun to talk for an hour and a half, but it's especially fun when when there's a card to get excited for.
For sure.
And this was a week like that. And yeah. See y'all next week. Peace out.
See ya.
Goodbye.